I've noticed a level of fear that exists in me. I've noticed that sometimes, because of fear, I don't move forward. I'm slow to move. I believe that there's a level of fear that exists in us all that is really a hindrance to us all. It doesn't allow us to live our fullness of life, to have that quality of life that we most definitely deserve. We want things, but because of what it takes, we're afraid to move forward or to reach out and grab those things. We're afraid to have those things. We're afraid to do what it takes to obtain those things. I was questioning myself and really getting into myself and thinking about relationships and where I am in my relationships and where I stand. And I realized that my fear of being hurt hinders me from fully engaging into productive relationships. I realized that that's something that didn't just start, it's something that I've been dealing with all my life. I look back to when I was younger and how I was as a child and how trusting and open and loving and caring I was. I still possess those traits today, but I find myself limiting how much of myself that I give because I'm afraid that people will take advantage of that. I'm afraid that people will see it as a weakness instead of seeing it as my strength. So I shy away from relationships, not only personal relationships, romantic relationships, and sometimes business relationships, because of my lack of knowing. Because I don't know if I can trust this person. I don't know what the intention or the motive is with someone. And that's a hindrance. I'm realizing that I have to trust more in God and know that He knows where I am and He knows those things that will take me off my path and off my course and those things that will hurt me and bring me harm. So, in trusting Him, then I have to be able to trust people to a certain extent and give of myself a little more to give them a chance. Someone sent me something and it made mention to giving people the benefit of the doubt. And when you give people the benefit of the doubt and they do right by you, it's an honorable thing. When you give people the benefit of the doubt and they do wrong by you, it's just a learning lesson. It's a tool. It's something that you just use. You just keep that. And it kind of will help you in the end. Even though I am this person of such, in my opinion, I am filled with a lot of love and care for people. I am so guarded from people because of my fear of people and what they may do to me. It's a process that I'm going through, and that first step is recognizing that in myself, accepting that it exists within me, and then doing something to change it. Because isn't it nice when you can live a quality life, when you can actually invite people all the way in, instead of always keeping people at bay or being on the fence with people? I think that's a very wonderful thing. And if I myself and we as a whole learn to just allow people in, to give them the benefit of the doubt, to just see what they're about, I think that we'll live better lives. I think that in doing that, we can start eliminating a lot of the fears that we have. Trusting in God, trusting to know that He knows what's best for us. And in doing so, we take ourselves out of the equation. And when we take ourselves out of the equation, because fear is just a mental part of us all, and we allow our spirit to be guided by what we are spiritually connected to, we'll have fuller lives, better lives. We'll be able to really be able to be amongst people and interact with people and love people and give of ourselves to people without second guessing whether they're worthy of that. Because when we tap into that spiritual part of self, you'll be amazed at how much you know going into certain situations. Meaning, the warning signs and the all the signs, the green lights and the red lights and the yellow lights. It's more apparent to us when we are more connected in the spiritual realm. People think that when I speak sometimes about spiritual, I'm speaking about religious. No, spiritual is that connection between you and the higher power that just goes up. And that has nothing to do with religion. Nothing at all. It's far from a religious practice being spiritual. It's greater than religion. So if we just embrace that, we can start letting go a lot of our fears. Sometimes when I'm speaking, and I'm doing things and I'm interacting with people and I'm listening to their stories, or reading their comments and stuff, a lot of the things that they say, it resonates so much with me, and that it makes me, it brings to the awareness, the reality that we are indeed more alike than different. We can beat this thing. Any obstacle that we face, we really do. If we change our mental perception of it, we have the power to reverse all things. Fear is reversible. You don't have to be afraid of anything. It's a mindset. And in changing your mindset about people, instead of thinking that everyone is bad, that eliminates fear going into a situation. Instead of always sitting waiting for the next, what they say, the next shoe to drop, or whatever the case may be, or waiting for someone to really show their true colors, why don't we just give them the benefit of the doubt and accept that this is actually who they are, and embrace that until they show us something different? Why don't we mentally rewire ourselves and stop thinking the worst of someone and start looking at the best that we know can live inside of someone, because we know the best that lives inside of us? If we start changing those things, it's small things, and small things lead to big changes. But we have to put in the effort, and we have to be conscious all the time of our thought pattern when it comes to people. This is why it's so important to know self, to be able to analyze self, because once you're able to analyze and know you can pretty much analyze and know others, because actions and patterns and behaviors simulate. They are the same. There's no different. The difference is the person and who's doing it, not the action itself. So when you know why you act a certain way or why you do a certain thing, you can kind of, maybe they have been through this, or maybe this has happened. This is why they're like this. And if we learn more to communicate, to have an understanding, instead of always assuming, assumption is the worst. That will eliminate a lot too. Because our assumption of a situation can be totally wrong. But if we sit and communicate in open, honest dialogue, we can relieve ourselves of a lot of problems, a lot of fears, a lot of suspicion, a lot of things. So just think about that when you go into something or hesitate to go into something out of fear. There's no need to be afraid. It's a mental state of mind that you have the power to change. So let's change it and start living beyond fear. MJK.